This is my Gretsch G220, what I'm using for standard. So today I actually decided to do a bit of a different style of video. Instead of like my usual like just playthrough mix kind of video, decided to actually do more of a discussion slash guide kind of video, if that makes sense. And with that, I decided, hey, let's talk about like distorted bass because I feel like that's something I'm kind of like making a name for myself for in a weird way. Like a lot of people were like kind of liking and vibing with this tone that I kind of got going on. And this is the heart of my tone that's on camera, my pedal board. This massive, overly complex kind of thing. Now, this is not a guide of my pedal board. I'm not going to be talking about what each one does or even like combination of pedals that I use, but more or less kind of just like talking about, sorry, that was kind of distracting, talking about more or less how to get at distorted bass. Because I feel like a lot of people kind of have an idea, but they don't actually kind of like think about it. They think, oh, just plug a distortion pedal into a bass. That's all you need. Not really. There's some steps. There's a lot of steps. So let's go through it. Number one, let's start with everything off. The only thing that's on right now is the noise gate. That can stay on. That has no effect. All it does is cut out the noise of the bottom floor. So it's like, if I turn it off, you get some hiss from the amp. No hiss. You're going to need a noise gate though. So this is what my naked tone, as I like to say, kind of sounds like. Ooh, that was out of wrong note, wrong chord. Very bad. It's already peaking in my thing, so don't go by this. So some people say it would be the first step to do. Number one, you're gonna need a preamp pedal. Most bass amps pretty much suck. They're not good. They have never been good. So you're gonna need a preamp, and I'm gonna recommend the Sans Tech amp. Now you can either, because you're running a preamp, you can either run it in the front of your amp or in the power amp section, like through the center return. It's kind of your choice. I've done both with more expensive amps at studios. Haven't heard much of a difference. So this is how I now sound with the preamp pedal. Better, but not like great. Now, from here, you can definitely start messing with overdrive. And some people will say, well, what happens if you don't have a preamp and you want to do overdrive or distortion and you're kind of just plugging it into the front of like your amp or even to the send and return, like just the front of your amp, right? Not even a send and return. Like let's say you have like a cheaper amp like I do. That's how this sounds. So let me turn off the preamp and show you how it would sound without a preamp pedal. You might want to lower your phone volume, gonna be honest. It's really bad. It's very buzzy. Like maybe if you kind of do like a Swedish chainsaw kind of thing, it could work. But it's really bad. Like it's very like staticky. Not good at all. Now with the preamp pedal. Don't know why I turned it off. I'm a professional. Don't mind me. It's a little bit better. There's definitely some saturation and there's definitely a tone there, but I don't like it. It's too much overtone. It's too loud. It's too trebly. It's too ear piercy. So this is where we combine a compression pedal. Now, compression in bass to me like is very much needed. Like you need, in my opinion, if you're a bass player, you need a compression pedal. I don't really see how you can argue otherwise. There really is to me no argument to be made to not have one because it's going to compress your signal and it's going to make it sound better. A lot of those overtones really kind of get like taken out of the fray, and maybe somebody will say, "Oh, well, you lose some volume." It doesn't matter. You shouldn't even be the loudest person in the room. You should be the root of it all. You should be lock and key with the drummer. You should be kind of like the backbone of the song or whatever the mix, whatever the case is, if you're a studio bassist or gigging bassist. So this is how my clean tone, because now we're in my clean tone, sounds with compression. Beautiful. It's thick, it's warm, it has clarity. Like if I start playing some power chords on the higher strings, it's so much more bearable to the ear. Like it really cleans this up. So now once you take this and then you combine overdrive, let's hear how it sounds. Sounds really good. It cleans up. It's not as bright, but it's loud, it's punchy, and it's warm and it's thick. That's what you should want from your tone, you know? That was out of key. Not what I played, but I was in the wrong section. So that's pretty much it for standard. I think standard in general, like when you have like this kind of like distorted tone, and I'm mainly just sticking with the yellow pedal, the Boss Super Overdrive Wazacraft. I'm not gonna get into like heavy distortion. I feel like that's something I'm still messing with, and I will talk about the TS9 in another video. This is just kind of like the general idea, so that you consider this like a two-parter. We're gonna go into different overdrives and distortion pedals in a whole nother video, because that's in itself a whole nother beast. So now we have that, and we have pretty much a really good tone, a mix ready tone. There really isn't much else to like talk about, at least in standard, because standard, it has the most warmth. Like you can definitely do like some dissonant or like diminished chords on bass and get like a really like nice sound, because you're tuned to still 440 hertz and you're still tuned pretty high up. So you shouldn't encounter any mud or any disgusting tones. This should be the most easiest thing to mix and get to sound good. Next, we're going to go to drop C. And drop C is kind of where I feel like that clarity kind of starts to go away and the mud really starts to come in, you know? So let me just show you what I mean by like, there's a lot of mud. There's no mud in standard. Okay. I think that should do it. Like there's a lot of clarity, even when like I'm kind of playing two strings at the same time and I'm playing diminished and just regular power chords. It doesn't sound horrible. It still has clarity. You can still hear what I'm playing. You can still hear the notes. And if you're a guitar player, you can still pick it out and jam along to what I'm doing. So now I'm going to switch over to drop C. I'm going to show what instrument I'm using for drop C, and then we're going to get into it. This is my Chris Cale Signature Series Warlock, which I'm using for drop C. So now I'm set up in drop C, in tune and everything, and this is just how I sound in drop C, like my tone. There's definitely a lot more mud. There definitely is, and you can tell that. Like there's not as much like string clarity and note definition. Don't mind me. And that is not like something I like, which is why drop C is kind of like, as far as like distorted tones go, this is the furthest I go. I'm not against writing anything lower than this, but just it's more clean or ambient. Like I don't really, there's just too much. So let me show you what I mean. Let me engage some overdrive. Like there's a lot less clarity in that if I play that same riff in standard, and you can kind of hear it. You know, it's not bad, but it's not really good. And this is where I kind of say, if you are going into that kind of like detuned, you know, well, drop tuned kind of sound and feel, you're gonna need to get an EQ pedal. So let's engage that and play the same riff. A lot better. There's more bite, there's more clarity, there's more growl. You know, once you start tuning so low, it just doesn't sound pleasing anymore, at least to me. At least for like stuff that I write and how I like to write. I've definitely liked albums and records. Sorry about that technical issues. I definitely do like records and songs tuned lower than this. It's just for me personally, like as far as like I just can't get behind it. It's not inspiring to me, but I can have fun listening to it, and it can inspire me to write things in different tunings. And that's kind of like my stance on it, you know. At least like my thing. I'm not gonna sit up here and say if you like to play in drop G sharp, then you're an idiot. Not gonna do that. You know, that's your jam, brother. Like that's what you like to do. And you know, I do feel like even with the EQ pedal, transitions to standard really well because you're gonna have that extra clarity. So you might want to set it up differently, or like I say let it rock. Like how I have mine set up, it sounds good in both standard. You know, I had it on for the intro and everything. It sounds fine in standard. You know, it's something that transitions really well because you should know how you want to sound on pretty much everything that you do. So that's pretty much drop C. Just talking about mud, not trying to get too much into it. I'm not going to do the same thing. Same rules apply, you know. If I turned off my preamp and my compressor and I just had the overdrive on, it would sound like TV static. And that doesn't really change from tuning to tuning. That's just a character of an amp, you know, a bass amp, which is not made for this much gain and distortion. You're really kind of just pushing it in that way. And that's why a lot of the original, like, you know, forefathers of this, like Lemmy and Cliff, they just simply use the guitar heads into bass cabs, you know, which is definitely something you could do. I rather just go about it my way, and I think clicking pedals is kind of fun. So next, we're going to talk about drop A sharp. I'm going to show the instrument I'm going to be using, and then we're going to get into the tones. This is my Solar AB 2.5 AN. Okay, and we're back for the third and final instrument. My shoulder is killing me because I've been standing this whole time. So here we are, drop A sharp. Let's hear how it sounds naked. No overdrive. I actually turned it off this time. I'm learning, guys. Joke's on me, my tuner's on. I didn't learn anything. More mud. This is still, as you can see, with the EQ pedal on, and it just... a lot more mud, a lot less clarity. It still sounds chimey. It doesn't sound bad, but I think for cleans, like it just sounds so much better. Don't know, I was playing right there. I was kind of figuring it out as I went along. But it doesn't sound bad. Now with overdrive. Doesn't sound the best. I just don't like it. It sounds too quacky, too muddy. Like it's just not like for me. This drop A sharp just comes alive and like that kind of like clean sound. I didn't say I was gonna do this, but let's click on the Ibanez, the green one, to show this because that is also an overdrive. So I guess we're gonna do it here because this is the tuning where I think this sounds really good. You know, screw it. I'm gonna break the rules. I don't care. I'm doing this off the cuff, no script, anyways. We're also gonna kick on the chorus. I'm gonna show one of my band's riffs from our upcoming EP. Please check it out when it comes out. That'll be very, very soon. Like in that regard, it sounds pretty good. You know, that kind of like edge of breakup, hairy, kind of clean sound. Because it adds like some nice like undertones to it and some overtones, and it just sounds glorious for the cleans, you know. But that's pretty much that. As you can see, my battery's dying because I'm a professional. And that's going to wrap that up. Have a good day, guys. Enjoy. I'm probably going to play like a little outro riff. You know, I just got to switch batteries. So don't mind me.